Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, viewers. My name is Ruby Jim, and welcome to the last Predator Hunting Grounds video we're going to have before the full release. We're 6 days out. Today is Saturday. I don't know the exact date. Hold on. It's Saturday the 18th. We have 6 days. 6 days! I'll tell you what, it's been a bit of a wild ride. I've had the game pre-ordered for a long time. I've definitely from when the PlayStation countdown timer was at 40 days. I feel like it was also there at 50 days. I've been waiting a long time for this. I've been very hyped. The trial weekend, as I've been saying, was very fun, very enjoyable, and was very good for Ilphonic as well, as I'll get into later. But basically, what this video is, the final video, the absolute finale, it's just going to be a kind of discussion video. I want to throw a couple points out there, a couple of points on the trial and pointers about it, and I'm also going to talk about some tips and tricks that I picked up from the trial, which I'm going to put a disclaimer here. With the points that I'm going to bring up in the general discussion section, the tips and tricks that I state may be subject to change. One tip slash trick might have been completely changed in the full release. So if I say one thing in the full release, it might be that thing doesn't work anymore. You know what I mean? So take it all with a grain of salt. And then in the last section, we're going to be talking about a couple of issues and such that I'm hoping that once we get our hands on the full release, that these issues will have been either ironed out or the balancing issues would have been balanced out. But without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Let's start right off with the first point I want to make, which is reviews on the trial version. Now, I was planning on doing a review for the trial version, and then I kind of didn't. And if you were following my Twitter, it was, I don't know how long ago it was, but it was basically, I think, just right after the trial or middle of the trial. I put out a tweet saying I'm planning on doing a review for the trial because of how much I'm enjoying it and the things that I want to bring up in it. And then I kind of didn't. A review for the trial never came out from me. Now, I did see reviews for the trial come out from different people, and there are several reasons for it. The big one being, hey, I'm actually a bit of a lazy bugger, so I decided not to. But then as the weeks went on, I found that it was better and better that I didn't actually do a review on the trial. One of the biggest things was that recently the PlayStation blog had a podcast, and they included some of the developers for the game from Ilphonic, and they asked them some questions and such about post-launch content and the trial itself, what they've taken away from it, all that. And one of the bigger things that they stated was that the trial build was 6 weeks old. So, from the way it was said and the way it looked, I believe that they were saying 6 weeks old from the day of the trial. So, from March 27th, 6 weeks before that would have been about mid-February, early mid-February. So, what that means is that the build we were playing was old, and by today, that build is 2 months old. So they had 2 months to build upon that build, and they were saying about how people were bringing up issues and balance issues, glitches and such, and they were saying like, oh, well that's all right. We've already actually fixed that bug, or we fixed that balance issue. So alongside that, and the fact that the build was 6 weeks old, I feel like it's just not fair to review a game and to make an opinion on a game on a build that is far from the final version. Now, granted, Ilphonic did kind of shoot themselves in the foot by naming it a trial, because for me, when I see trial, I don't see, you know, like old version, early build kind of stuff. I see trial and I see like snippet from the full game, kind of like with my old PS3 days when I download timed trials and such. If I see trial, my thought process goes to, it's a restricted section of the full game. Now, granted, excuse me, the Trial itself was indeed a restricted version of the full game, 100%, but it was also very, very much not the most recent build, and there were a lot of things to come out of it, such as like optimization issues, which they also talked about. They talked about how they are trying to get optimization as good as it can get, really, and alongside that, just the fact that it wasn't. I don't feel like it was right for it to be called a trial. If it was called a beta, I feel like it would have been received much differently, because I think that people will look at the name trial and see what I see, which is a cut, like a small portion of the full game that they can play for a small amount of time, literally a timed trial. Whereas if it was called a beta, I feel like people would have looked at that and gone early version of the game, subject to change. So I think that's why we saw reviews coming out for it, because it was labelled as a trial. But the fact is, it was like an early mid-February build, you know, like I don't know. To me, it's one of those things you can't review a game based on a beta, you know. If you review a game based on a beta, put up loads of points, put up loads of balance issues, loads of graphical issues, balance issues, glitches, bugs, all that. You release that review to the public, and then when the full release comes out, everything that you discussed has actually been fixed. You kind of get done in for a bit of slander at that point, because everything that you said was wrong isn't actually wrong. So, that's why that's like a secondary reason on why I felt it was good that I did actually hold back and not make a review, because simply put, it's just it wouldn't have been a true a true feelings kind of thing, It wouldn't have been my true and honest thoughts of the final game. It would have been true and honest thoughts of a trial release or a beta release that just wasn't the final version. So that was one of the big things I wanted to talk about with regards to trial, was that it was an older version, and they've had 2 months to upgrade and improve that version. So that was the first part of this general discussion. Second part was a small thing that I noticed when looking at the game page. Now, I don't know if it shows this on the Epic Games Store, but on the PlayStation Store, I'll throw up a screenshot as well. When you look at the network players required for the game, it states that you need 1 to 5 network players and a PlayStation Plus subscription. Oh, excuse me. So, what normally happens, I'll throw up a couple of other screenshots of other games as well, of namely Call of Duty Warzone and Battlefield 4. When an online game requires 2 people to start a lobby or to start a game, it will state on the thing that it requires 2 to X being the max number of network players in order to play the game online. So, with like Battlefield and Call of Duty, you have to have at least 2, because you need at least 1 on one team and 1 on the other team in order to start a match. But with Predator, it says you only need 1 to 5. So there's a couple of things on this, and I think the biggest one that I could think of was that there may actually be single player content on the horizon for the game, or on release. Now, granted, the tutorial itself can be played single player, but it can also be played offline. I don't think the tutorial is being counted as single player content, So, what I'm thinking is that one of 2 things. Either one, they've got single player content ready to go, and I think a thing that emphasizes this is in the tutorial, if you happen to die during the tutorial, you'll get a nice little pop-up screen, which again I'll throw up a screenshot, stating "Hunt failed." Now, I don't know about you, but me looking at this, I feel like the way that this thing comes up and everything, I have just a distinctive feeling that this is some sort of, not hint, but this is a way of showing that this is like the screen that will come up if you fail one of these single player hunts. So I'm going to be thinking that there's going to be some sort of like the tutorial as an example. With the tutorial, it's got like different pieces of camera work and like showing off, and where it's it's showing off all the I say all where it's showing off like the enemies, and when it shows off the long claim kill for the tutorial. I feel like with the way that's all going, it really does look like they've got some sort of thing in the works for a single player type game mode. Now again, this it could be that this single player type game is something like you have to kill you have to kill this person, but it could also be a matter of they're adding challenges into the side of it as well, like with Friday the 13th, where you had a challenge to, as an example, not get detected and to kill everyone and to get a certain amount of XP. So it could be one of those things where you'll have to reach a certain score amount, or you'll have to complete some objectives in order to make the final guy appear, and then take him out and claim him in a specific way, maybe, and it's going to be one of those things. It's definitely going to be a thing of we'll have to wait and see for it because we have no confirmation. But that's my first thought on it. The other thought is that they may have bots available to go. So the thing I'm thinking here is if I, as an example, jump into a lobby, a solo lobby, and I'm going in as the Predator, and I'm doing this, like, I don't know, like fucking 50 years after the game's launch, and there's no one in the lobby, and then all of a sudden, like, bots fill it. You know what I mean? Like bots fill up the fighting members, or maybe I drop into the game, and I drop in as a fighting member, and a bot fills in the Predator role. You know what I mean? So, because of course that would actually mean that yes, you only need one player to actually play the online game. So those are the kind of two options I have thoughts on here. Either we're getting some sort of bots thing going on, or we are going to be getting some sort of single player challenges. Personally, I've got more expectation on the thought that we're going to have single player challenges. However, Ilphonic have done bots in the past, so there's a possibility that we may indeed have bots. Not bots, sorry. Yes, bots, actually. Oh, God, words. Words are difficult sometimes. As there's a possibility that we may have some sort of bot mechanic, be it that either only the fighting members get filled in, or the Predator will also get filled in, like after... Because I know before there was a countdown timer. Once everyone readied up, a nice... Actually, no, I think it was once 4 players have joined. A Predator and 3 fighting members had joined. It then started a countdown timer, I think, or once everyone had readied up, it started a countdown timer, and I believe it gave you 2 minutes, and if after 2 minutes no one else joined, the game would start, or if the last slot managed to fill in, then you'd exit with a full team. So it's definitely one of those things. We're gonna have to wait and see for it. But that was basically all was coming in for the general discussions. The fact that the trial was a 6-week-old build, so about a mid-Feb build. Why I didn't do the review on it, and the possibility of the bots. So now onto some interesting bits, tips and the tricks. So I think that there are a couple of tips and tricks that can be taken away from the trial weekend, and of course I think one of the things that need to be stated before I say any of this is that these are all subject to change. Some of the tips and tricks that I advise you of during this bit could very well be changed at the full release. So of course take it all with a grain of salt. Something I say here might not work in the full release. Hopefully some of the tips and tricks do work, but of course if they don't, it's not end of the world. Anyway, let's not keep you here any longer. Let's jump into this bitch. So, first tip is mainly on Predator. So, big thing I want to say here is with the Predator, one of the things that people were talking about quite exponentially was the combi stick. Now, as we were looking at just on my my game screen here, as I get long claimed, which might I advise looks very fucking brutal. Like he nearly sticks his hand right up my fucking arse and pulls my spine out. Like on speaking, first time I looked at it, does very much look like he just pulls his spine out your arse. Like that's fucking gruesome, man. Fucking gruesome. But Yeah, first tip and trick I want to say is with the Predator and his melee. A lot of people were saying that the Predator's melee is very powerful. So one of the things that needs to be stated is that whilst the Predator's melee is indeed powerful, it's one of those things where you definitely need to pick your targets and pick your time to strike. If you jump down um, in front of all four of the fire team members with your combi stick, and they've all got their miniguns out and they just rev them up and open fire. They fucking light you up. Your health's gonna go, and it doesn't matter how powerful your combi stick is. You bitch, you dead. You gone. You're out. You're dead. But basically, the big thing here is that picking your targets and picking your time to strike is a good practice. Basically, if you see that someone's alone, by all means, get behind them, do a couple of strikes on them, get them downed, do claim if you wanna. But basically speaking, what you don't want to do is you don't want to run in front. I say in front. You don't want to come down when all four of the fire team members are able to take you in their sights, because you'll get lit up. And what you don't want to do is drop down, kill one fire team member, and then have a tenth of health left. So you're forced to either go and find a pig or use your med kits. So that's the first tip for the Predator. Make sure you're always picking your targets when you're going for the melee. When you're at range, of course, you're a bit better off because you're at range. You're less likely to get shot. You might be more likely to get shot. I don't know, but I feel like you're safer when you're at a distance. A minigun is much harder to hit at long range than at close range. You know what I mean? So that moves on to our fire team tip and trick for regarding melee. Actually, a lot of people didn't seem to notice this, but you can parry Predator's melee attacks. Now, you did see that in my thing there, where in my gameplay video, where the Predator had come in for an attack, and I had my knife out and was parrying him. So what the parry is basically if you melee the Predator as he attacks you with his melee attack, you'll do a parry. It will stun the Predator for a small second, and it'll give you a bit of time to recover, recuperate, and have your team get some shots off on him. So the basic thing with the parry is that it seemed like in the trial next to no one knew about the parry, like literally no one. Honestly speaking, I didn't see many people using the parry. I got hit with a parry a couple of times. It really wasn't a lot. I got hit with a parry, and the parry is definitely something that is so powerful, because if the Predator comes head on towards you, you can take out your knife and just start swinging by pressing the regular attack button. And as long as your character is, I'm pretty sure, just as long as you hit that swing button as the Predator attacks you, you're golden. You can get parry off. And whilst it might not seem like much, parrying 2 or 3 of the Predator's attacks can give you enough time for your teammates to come in and save you. And trust me, it's very much something that you need. You need every second when you're against a Predator. Every second you can stay alive and get your friends towards you. It's another second of, one, of the Predator's time being wasted, and 2, it's time that you're alive. Really, we all love being alive in this game. It's amazing. But if you don't know how to parry, I have said it previously on here. All you have to do is, like I said, melee when the words, they're hard sometimes. Press your R3 button or your melee button once the Predator's coming in, or take out your knife by holding the melee button. And then if you just click or use your R2 button to attack with the knife, you'll also just parry the Predator's attacks as you'll be swinging as he attacks. So parrying, it's gonna be a big thing, I think. Once we start getting into the later, I say later. Once we start getting into more time, being words, they're hard sometimes. Once the game's been out for a while, people start understanding more that the knife is actually really good against melee predators. So again, we're gonna have to see how it works with the Berserker Predator as an example, because we know that the Berserker Predator has been built for melee. He's been built for the up close and personal encounters. So that parrying is going to be king against predators who are inexperienced and just rush in. Now, granted as well, if the predator does manage to get up behind you, he can attack you, and you can't do much about that because you have to turn around in order to start parrying him. And of course, if he does come in and only do a couple of hits, which I don't advise, but if he does come in and only do a couple of hits, and then bugger off, you haven't had a chance to parry attack him. You know what I mean? And as well, he's still at close range. He can still fire a charged plasma caster shot at you. So take care when you're at close range, but definitely keep in mind the parrying, because I can guarantee that the first week or two of the game is going to be a lot of melee predators taking their melee experience from the trial and trying to put it into the full game. And if they start getting parried, they're going to have to start changing up their strategies if they want to keep doing melee. Now, the second little tip I have for predators is basically toy with your prey. It's something that I know a lot of people didn't really seem to do. Basically, a lot of predators, they came down and they basically got as much damage as they could in. They downed as many people as they could, quick claimed them, and then fucked off. Now, yes, whilst it's great to come in and do that shit, it also nets you the least XP. Now, during the trial, of course, there were a couple of matchmaking issues. It could take up to 5 minutes to get into matches, sometimes 10. It could take a very long time for you to actually get into a match. So, of course, to jump to a match and then 3 minutes later for the match to end, whilst I was still having fun, it's one of those things where if the game had gone on longer, I feel like it would have been a more enjoyable experience. Excuse me. So, basically speaking, as the Predator, what you can do is you can just down someone and then fuck off. Down someone and run off. And then, down someone, if someone else then comes in and tries to revive that person, maybe fire a charged plasma caster shot at them, or throw down some bear traps and get some shots off on those. The main thing I'm saying here is that really give yourself a good amount of time to toy with your prey and to just build up that XP, because if a fire team member gets a load of XP and then you long claim them, you will claim the XP that they earned, so you get a nice big chunk of XP for it. So I'm not sure how much of a difference there is between a quick claim and a long claim, but I think if you do a long claim, then it's either you get more XP or you get the exact XP, and then if you do a quick claim, it's either you get the exact XP or you get a lesser amount of XP. So I think that is just the second tip on the Predator, is just make sure that you're getting as much XP as you can out of your matches. Because, if a match ends in 2 minutes, yeah, great, your match has ended in 2 minutes, but, now you're back in the queue, and you've also left with, maybe you've only left with like 3,000 XP. So it hasn't been very beneficial to you, whereas if you had left with, say, 9,000 XP, it would have been a much better benefit to you. And on to the fire team's tip number 2. Remember to try and stay covert for as long as you can. Basically speaking, mudding up, using silenced weaponry, stopping alarms from going off, stopping enemies from seeing you. All of this leads into the Predator not being able to find you as quickly. If you're muddied up, I am pretty damn certain that he can't locate you with the target isolation scan. So what the target isolation scan is, basically, if the Predator's in his heat vision mode, he can press a button and he'll get a nice big bubble to show exactly where you are. But if you're muddied up, that bubble doesn't appear. So make sure that you're keeping yourself nice and muddied up, and also if you keep yourself silenced and covert, using a silenced pistol or a silenced rifle, taking down the enemies stealthily, make sure the alarms are never activated, make sure enemies don't see you. It can take a long time for the Predator to find you, which could in turn lead to you being able to avoid the Predator for a good amount of the game. Now, of course, granted, maybe you do want to fight the Predator, and in which case, you can indeed go in with Predator hunting gear, but you also got to remember that the Predator does have the possibility of completely fucking you up. It has the possibility of completely screwing you over. You know what I mean? Like, he could fire a very charged plasma caster shot at you, he could, throw a smart disc at you and down 2 of you at once. It's one of those things you've just got to be careful with it. But mudding up and staying covert for as long as you can, it will be a good benefit, especially in the earlier time of release. First couple of weeks, it's going to be a good strategy to try and just stay out of the Predator's line of sight for as long as you can. That way, especially if you're alone. If you're alone, make sure that you're muddied up and that you're being as discreet as you can. Because if that Predator finds you when you're alone, you're as good as fucking dead. So third tip for the Predator is actually one that I never saw anyone use. Stealth kills. They can be used on fire team members. So if you manage to get behind an AI, oh my, I did not realize the Predator was actually. If you manage to get behind the AI as the Predator, you're able to. Oh yeah, I'm not got saved there. You're able to stealth kill them. It's a nice little cinematic kill, and depending on the melee weapon you have equipped, you'll do a different little stealth kill. Now, fire team members can also be stealth killed. Basically speaking, in the tutorial, it states that if a fire team member is downed enough times, they become open to stealth kills. Now, stealth kills are definitely something that can be very powerful. Because imagine it like this: you've downed, you've got 4 fire team members, and you've downed like each one of them twice. Now, I believe when they're down twice, sorry, excuse me, when they're down twice, they get the a little white skull above their head, unless they have a perk, which will, basically speaking, give them an extra down. So, in basic terms, uh, if a fire team member has got that white skull above their head, then they are able to be stealth killed. So in order to do that, you basically just have to approach behind the fire team member, and you'll get the option to stealth kill them. Now, like I said, I never saw anyone pull this off, because I don't think anyone actually read the tutorial messages, or maybe even played the tutorial. But it's one of those things where we're going to have to see how it plays out in the actual game. It could be that it's a very powerful tool, just as long as you're behind the fire team member, you can stealth kill them, which could be a massive benefit. Or it could be that you have to be cloaked and then do the stealth kill. Or, we don't know exactly how it is that the stealth kill is pulled off, but it's going to be one of those things where it could very much be a big boon. And that's why I'm putting it in this tips and tricks, because it could very much be a very big benefit to you to stealth kill the fire team members by downing them twice and then stealth killing them, because for all we know it could give bonus XP, and we do love ourselves a bit of bonus XP. Now, the fire team's third little tip, trick kind of thing. Basically, it's a very simple one, but I saw it kind of go off a lot. Is basically stick to your objective. It's I know it's a really simple thing, but basically speaking, you want to stick to your objective. As long as you're on your objective constantly, and you're constantly pushing through the objective, you're putting pressure on the Predator to make sure that he's constantly on you. Because basically speaking, if you try and hunt down the Predator, and let's say you sit in a tight confined space, and you just wait for him to enter, one such building is where you have to kill a commander's brother, and then once you kill the brother, you take a picture of the body, send it off to the captain, and he comes running. But the room that the brother is hiding in is a one-way in, one-way out room that can be a bit difficult for the Predator to land some of his shots into. But if you just sit in there for 15 minutes, one, you're having a very uninteresting game, and two, it is always possible that the Predator could have fucked off and gone and killed AI and gotten a good chunk of XP. Because the AI do give you some XP to kill as the Predator. The Predator could be doing all this stuff for him, meanwhile you're not getting anything because he knows that you're just sitting in that room waiting for him. So make sure that you're sticking to your objective and you're pushing through your objectives. I think I showed off in one of these things where basically I was running solo, and a group of 3 people with grenade launchers tried to take down the Predator, and one by one they all went down, and it was like, oh fuck, very very scary shit to watch. As one by one you see the white skulls appear in your map, and you go, they're dying. Oh no. But that's basically it for the tips and tricks. Just some small tips and tricks, and of course, as I've said, and I want to make sure it's reiterated, subject to change. Once the full game comes out, some of these tips and tricks may become invalid, or they may change depending on different balances that have been made to the game. So, final little bit here: balancing and bug fixes. Now, I'm going to very quickly stop the audio recording and start it again, because I'm actually starting to run out of video, and I don't know if I'm going to just hit the end of the video. Oh, we fucking love SHAREfactory, don't we? Okay, so balancing and bug fixes. There were a lot of, I say a lot, there was a good chunk of different balancing issues and bug issues that occurred in this trial, and a lot of them were, of course, stated to Auphonic via their forums and via their Twitter and such. But as I stated earlier on, a lot of these bugs and balancing issues may have been fixed due to the fact that the build was indeed 6 weeks old. So, a big thing that I want to really put on here is that, I say big thing, I think the biggest thing is the grenade launchers, for people running grenade launchers. I think it's a thing that really plagued the trial. I say plagued it, really affected the trial. You know, there was a lot of it. I definitely saw a good amount of it where people were coming in with grenade launchers just to fuck up the Predator. And the reason it really fucked up the Predator was because every time a grenade exploded near you, you got the like the burst eardrum kind of sound effect. You know, the whole like, or the like that. I can't do the noise, but basically you get like the ear ringing and you know, like you've been, you know, there's been a loud explosion near your ear kind of thing, and your screen gets all disoriented and all fuzzy, and you know, if you've got four of them all firing at you at once, all you're hearing is the explosions, and you're like, what the fuck? I can't see, I can't hear. And then when you try and run away, you're still getting blown up because those grenade launchers go fucking far. It's very much one of those things where the grenade launchers were the big plague. You know, they were the big plague of the trial. But as I stated, Ilphonic did say that the grenade launchers were one of the things that they were looking at. So what I'm hoping is that just something has happened to the grenade launchers. I don't know what. Excuse me. But as long as something has happened to the grenade launchers to make them less of an easy way out for the fire team members. So who knows what they've done to grenade launchers? You know, maybe they've made it so that the grenade launchers have got less ammo in them. Maybe they've made them pick up only. Oh, excuse me, I'm got all the burps in me today. Who am I? Alright, maybe they've made the grenade launchers fire like slower. You know, maybe they've made them like you know, instead of being an M32 rotary grenade launcher because fuck you and everyone within a 15-foot radius of you, maybe they've done it to be a bit more of a, you fire once and then you have to like a cock back or something like that, something to make it much slower to fire the grenade launcher. Because the fact that the grenade launcher could be fired 6 times in like fucking 6 seconds, that was one of the things that really, you know, gave it that, yeah. So grenade launcher balance, that's one of the big things that I feel like need to be looked at. Second one was Predator stealth. Not in the way that a lot of people were saying, because a lot of people were saying that the Predator's cloaking was shit, and that he was always so easy to spot, all that kind of shit. But one of the things that people didn't actually know until the end of the trial was that if you're cloaked, crouching, and being completely still, you actually turn completely invisible to the fire team's eyes. So where you'll still see your you know, like the reflection kind of thing because of the Predator's cloaking, it's, you know, like a kind of wibbly, kind of transparent kind of thing, you know. Basically, where you would be seeing that, the fighting members won't see that at all. You'll be completely invisible. The only thing that will give you away is if they try to walk into you. And I've seen multiple videos where people have done it, and I'm pretty much able to 100% confirm it that it is a valid tact. It does work. So it's not that part of the Predator stuff I'm worried about. It's mainly the Predator's footsteps when he's doing big running. So when he's doing his, like, you know, fast running, completely understandable to me for him running. I know that in the original movies he was definitely a bit more of a quiet boy. Like every step he took was very silent and stealthy. But when you're running as a human, you know, I feel like you're still quite loud. Like you can't silence yourself if you're sprinting. You know, if you're doing like leaps, then maybe, you know, like you're going like step and leap, step and leap. You know, you might be a bit more quiet from that. But I personally think that as a predator, him running and being loud is good. What I don't like so much is if he's crouched or walking slowly. He's like, you know, slowly, 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 dong, slowly, 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 dong. Or when he's crouching, he still sounds like he's slamming his foot down as it approaches, rather than being a much more soft-footed as he's crouching towards someone. So I think that what I would like to see is that the audio gets tuned down a bit for if the predator is crouch walking or if he's just slow walking. I think something like that would be nice. I still think it's completely fine that when he's running, he's loud, because it's one of those things of when anyone's running, they're much easier to detect, and especially the fact that he's on the trees and you can hear the trees like shaking and all that. I mean, I saw one person say, "Oh, when a predator's in the trees, just make him completely mute. Can't fucking hear a thing. The predator is sprinting towards you, but because he's in the trees, you can't hear it. Like, no, no, I'm not in agreement. Don't do it. I'm more in the agreement of if the predator is in the trees or on the ground and he's running, he should be able to be heard. If he's crouching, he shouldn't really be able to be heard unless, either you're right fucking next to him, or maybe just make the crouching very quiet. And the same with if he's walking. If he's walking slowly, then he should be difficult to hear, I feel. That's just my take on it, of course. Another balancing issue, I want to bring it up, but I don't think anything needs to be changed with it, is the melee combat. People were saying, of course, that the combi stick was too powerful and needs a nerf. The combi stick needs to be nerfed to 6 hits to down someone. But of course, if that happened, then that would mean that the wrist braces need to be changed, because otherwise there's no use to the combi stick as a melee weapon. And alongside that as well, people were saying that I think some people were saying that the parry needs to be removed, because the fucking few people who understood what the parry was were like, yeah, no, the guy shouldn't be able to do that. And one of those things where I'm like, or you have to look at it in a long term kind of speak. I personally feel like the melee was fine. I feel like the way they'd done the melee was fine. I think it's just where people were inexperienced and they didn't have any clue on the fact that you could parry the predator's attacks. They were coming in and saying that it was too powerful, whereas if they had been able to parry the predator's attacks, they might have come back and said the predator needs a buff. His melee attacks are too weak. It's one of those things, like every time you hear one complaint, you'll usually hear like the polar opposite complaint. The predator's too strong, the predator's too weak, the predator's too loud, the predator's too quiet. You know what I mean? Actually, I've never heard the predator's too quiet. Never did I hear that on the forums. Next little thing on it, a glitch. The smart disk was a tad bit broken. Basically speaking, whenever you did a good old yeet of the smart disk, sometimes it would work just fine. You'd hit a surface, you'd be able to pick up your smart disk just fine. Sometimes though, the predator would become completely invisible to you, and you wouldn't be able to select any other weapons, and you'd be stuck with like whatever the fuck you have equipped at the time. It was a bad glitch. It was really bad. I was affected by it both times I used the smart disk, and it unfortunately stopped me from using the smart disk. And I really wanted to use it. I was really hoping to get some good like hits with the smart disk in, and to really see how it played out. But it was just so difficult because the smart disk was broken. Honest to God, the smart disk was so broken. That's one of the big things I want fixed. As long as they can get a good fix on the smart disk and make it work as intended, that's gonna be fucking grand. I don't want to jump into the full release, throw my smart disk, have it get stuck in an unreachable part of a tree, and then for the rest of the game I haven't got a smart disk, or like have it get stuck like in a wall that's like within a wall, somewhere where I can't get it. Same with the combi stick as well. If I throw the combi stick and it hits something that like I can't get to, I don't want it to be a matter of I don't have a combi stick for the rest of the game, because that's just sad, and I don't like being sad because that makes me sad. But next point is the Predator's self-destruct. If you were playing the trial and you were hit with people who knew about disarming the Predator's self-destruct, then you know how fucking depressing it is to have your self-destruct taken from you, to activate your self-destruct and to have the 5 team members disarm it. It is sad. It makes me feel sad, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's hit and miss. On the one hand, I like the idea that I feel like we're not back in 19. I don't know when Predator was set. I think it was set in 1987. I think, or it was released in 1987. Can't quite remember. No, it was released in 19. I can't remember. Listen, I can't remember, so we'll just go off on it. But I think it was set in 1987, so I'll go with that. But we're definitely not in that timeline anymore. We're not in that kind of area. We have computers, we have more advanced weaponry, by the looks of it at least. We and I feel like we know about the existence of predators because if you manage to ping the predator, then your operator does actually take note. He's there like, well, well, well. Looks like you're not the only one doing hunting today, fire team, or voodoo one, as they're known. So where the predators are known, it has it has potential to be like, yeah, it makes sense that the predator is able to be the predator's bomb is able to be disarmed, and their language was able to be deciphered. But at the same time, it's one of those things where if you manage to if you manage to activate your self destruct, I feel like you've earned that. At this point, they now have to run. Because there were times when, I managed to down a predator, shoot off his mask, and kill him before he was able to activate his self-destruct. It's possible, but of course the predator has to die very close to you, and in a good position, because if the predator is facing a wall, it can be a lot harder to shoot off his mask and to kill him. So, there's that. You got that going for you. But at the same time, it's one of those things. I like the fact that I can disarm it, because it can be intense, but at the same time, I don't like the fact that you can disarm it, because if you do disarm it, it makes the predator feel like, fuck, like, fuck's sake. Now, I did hear that one of the things that Ilphonic was looking at was doing something to the actual self-destruct minigame. They were saying to either add 4 more symbols, not as in like you have to match 4 more, I mean you have to match 8, as in you have to now match. I believe there are the 4 symbols you have to match, but I think it was like they were saying to add more variations of the symbols, so you have to flick through more variations, which of course could be detrimental to you. Because of course, if the predator does hit self-destruct, I don't know how long you have. I just don't. I never counted it down, and I know I have a video clip somewhere of the predator actually blowing up, but I don't know the actual timed amount, like the amount of time you have before it blows up. So of course, if it is something like, I feel like it's somewhere between 10 and 15 seconds, because definitely isn't like 20 and 30. I feel like it's definitely like a 10 to 15 kind of seconds you have. But it's one of those things. We're gonna have to see how it turns out, because I feel like that if it gets to a point of it's just too easy to disarm the self-destruct mechanism, and there's like as soon as you go down, you basically got no chance if someone knows about it, then it's one of those things. We're going to have to see how it turns out. Personally, I think something needs to be done to the self-destruct to either make it harder or to make it more inconvenient to do. One of the suggestions I did come up with was to include either a perk or a piece of gear which someone could bring in to actually activate the disarming of the device. So, it's an expensive perk, but it would mean that you'd actually be able to go in and disarm the device. Whereas if if no one has that perk, no one's able to disarm the explosive wrist blade. So, was there any other bugs and glitches that I experienced in the game? I think some of the other ones I experienced, we had like if I tried to leap onto a tree, sometimes I would just kind of bounce off the tree. Like I'd do a leap, I would hit like a specific area of the tree and just like ping off it. Like I was the south magnet and the tree was the north magnet. Sorry, no, both me and the tree were the south magnet. Just kind of ping off each other and go like, oh, okay then. Sometimes it would take a couple of tries to do that. Um, I don't think I really experienced that many glitches. I did hear glitches of the predator getting stuck in certain positions. So in that case, definitely those need to get fixed. And other balancing issues that come to mind, all things considered, nothing really. I think those were like the big points. AI, actually, coming to think of it, AI being very weak. I think I was watching Slash and Cast, and they were saying that one of their team members had gone AFK, and they'd all gotten killed by the predator, and basically an AI went over to their member and took so many shots to kill him because of the way the AI has been programmed. They do like shot, look at you, shot, Look at you, shot. Like they attack so slowly and they do so little damage. Like it took a good couple minutes of just being shot at by this one guy to actually kill him. So I think there definitely needs to be a bit more of a threat level to the AI to make them a bit more menacing. And alongside that, something to do with missions as well. It would be nice if we had longer missions, because there were a couple of missions where it was literally head to point A, do this thing. You've now done the thing. Extract, and like we'd literally be done with like within 5 minutes. So I feel like the missions need to either be longer or to have the overall game timer, because at the moment overall game timer is 15 minutes. But if they made the overall game timer something like 20, 25 minutes, and then they expanded on the actual missions, so you had to do more, something like that, just to keep the game going. It also allow you a chance to get more XP and all that jazz. Uh, Other than that, though, I think those are the main balancing and issues that I really thought up. Uh, One final note is the look of supply. I say supply boxes. I believe they are called supply crates. So I've seen angry people. I have been shouted at by an angry man. He was a very angry man. He was very cranky. I looked through his tweets. He looked so nice before, and then he got cranky. Basically, this one guy, he doesn't like the fact that there are microtransactions in the game, and basically speaking, nowadays it's kind of the thing that everyone has to deal with. It's not going to change. We are in a time of gaming where microtransactions are uh, very predominant, especially in games as service games such as um, like Destiny and uh, Dead by Daylight and stuff like that. The small and even Friday the 13th really, where there's small little purchases you can make for skins or emotes or like Friday the 13th has its kill packs or different like the different killers of Dead by Daylight or actually no those aren't microtransactions, are they? I don't know. But you also have the different currencies you can buy, such as Dead by Daylight's Auric cells, Call of Duty has its COD points. I think Battlefield you can actually just buy the fucking loot drops. I honestly don't remember. But basically speaking, with the way the game's looking, the way the credit system works, the way the supply crate systems work, I don't believe we will be looking at a game where we're being sold credits. We might be, of course, but considering everything in the game is cosmetic only, all of the skins are cosmetic only, everything in the supply drops are all cosmetic only, all that stuff, I'm completely okay with it. The fact that it's all cosmetic only and you can earn everything in game. Yes, you can get supply drops for I believe it is 500 credits, and you might be able to unlock, say, a mask color, which do cost 10,000, or you could just save up the 10,000 and buy it for yourself. You know, it's one of those things. I'm completely fine with saving up all those credits, and I'm completely fine with the supply drops only supplying cosmetic stuff as well. In retaliation to the guy who was very angry at me for being okay with that kind of stuff. It's how games are nowadays. We all deal with it in our own ways. Either we don't buy it if we don't like it, or we buy it if we want to buy it. It's not the end of the world if Predator Hunting Grounds allows you to purchase like a skin helmet. And granted, they could do things which will be they could say sell the 87 Predator skin. Don't know if it's actually going to get sold separately or if it's pre-order only, but they could sell it separately, and they could put it into the store for say $3.99. It's not going to be the end of the world. Again, they could sell things like completely red masks or like collections, skin collections. Like I know Call of Duty did it. I don't know if they still do it. But I remember Black Ops 2, like you could buy like the Pack-a-Punch skins for all your guns, so every gun would be able to be customized with a Pack-a-Punch skin. Stuff like that. It's one of those things. As long as they don't turn it into a thing where I can pay $3.99 to get, say, double XP, or I can pay $7.99 to get a specific sniper rifle which has got double damage against predators, or I can pay like 20 quid for like a fucking hat that gives me immunity to claims. You know what I mean? As long as they don't go down the route of you can pay for something to give you an advantage, They can do whatever the fuck they want with their cosmetic purchases. They can even sell me the credits. If they want to tell me that I can spend, 50 quid on 50,000 credits, go ahead. I probably won't even buy that, but they can do it if they want to, I had a thought. I've lost it. I had a train of thought. It was something in regards to the balancing. I've forgotten what it was. Oh no! It's fine. I feel like I've gone pretty in depth here. But that is basically it. That's the general discussions, the tips and tricks, and the bug fixes and balancing issues that I've managed to squeeze very tightly into a 50+ minute video. Whoo, God, I just fucking yapped on, didn't I? Yap. But that is the end of the video. Like I say, Predator Hunting Grounds coming out in 6 days. Live stream will be on this channel on Friday, the release day. Now, I do have the game pre-ordered, as I've stated, and as such, I'll be able to play it at midnight on Friday, hopefully, as long as there's no issues. But what that basically means is that, it's going to be midnight when the fucking game comes out. So I will not be live streaming it at midnight. I'll be waiting for, for an actual later time on Friday to go in, get the live stream started up, get some lunch, all that good jazz. I have a whole bag of mini eggs. Listen to my mini eggs. I have so many mini eggs. I bought 3 kilograms of mini eggs. I feel happy. And my tongue is also full of sugar. Owies. But, I will hopefully see you all for the live stream of the Predator Hunting Grounds release. It is very exciting. I have got the day booked off, and I've got the week after booked off, so we will see what kind of content I can pull out of my arse for that. But without any further ado, that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're as excited for Predator Hunting Grounds as I am. And again, hopefully I'll be able to see you in the actual, once I actually do the live stream, and maybe even see you in game as well. It'll be a good amount of fun for us all. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, leave a like. If you didn't enjoy, leave that dislike and make me cry. Leave that sexy comment. And subscribe if you do want to see more. I am hoping to potentially fix up this damn upload schedule and maybe actually do this whole once a week kind of upload schedule rather than this once every 6 days thing that I've got going on right now. I'm hoping I'll actually be able to get some proper uploads going on, every Sunday, and then spread out my weekdays, see if I want to make anything, stuff like that. We will see when we see, but that is it. That is the entire discussion. If you do actually have any counter arguments or whatever, be sure to actually leave down that 60 comments so I can actually have general discussions with you, see how we're all feeling about it, and maybe this video is being listened to by someone who's playing Elite Dangerous and flying into the sun. Good shit. But that is it for today's video. As I've said, leave that like, leave the dislike, leave the comment, subscribe, and I've been told that hitting the bell does something good. It apparently sends you notifications. However, I do not believe that because of the amount of times people have said they haven't been sent notifications. So do as you wish with the devilish bell next to the subscribe button. But without dragging this on for much longer, I hope you have yourselves a good day, a good afternoon, or a good evening, and I'll hopefully be able to see you in the next video, and hopefully I'll see you in game for Predator Hunting Grounds when it releases April 24th, or I see you in the live stream, and we can all have a good time, and we can all rip each other's spines out through our asses. That's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and the goddamn SHAREfactory decided to cut off my outro, so thank you very much, SHAREfactory. We love you. So now I have to say and goodbye here. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.